Hi, everybody. I'm Howard, and this is Otto's Retirement Corner. All right, so this is a combination health update and financial update. Um, as the title says, I've changed my mind about Social Security. And this is a major decision. It's a major change in philosophy for me. And let me explain that to you. First, with the health update, very quickly, things are still generally good. Adjust the camera a little bit here. Um, I won't say still. There, I have good days and bad days. The good days are more plentiful. The bad days are less plentiful. I've made some medication change. I haven't made them, but the doctors have made them. I'm not taking Plavix and no longer taking Brilinta, which means I don't have hypoglycemia anymore. That's cool. I've stopped taking Jardiance, which was causing. I'm sorry, Jardiance is causing the hyperglycemia. That stopped. Brilinta was causing shortness of breath, so now that stopped. I still run a little low of energy, and occasionally my blood pressure surges. And I went to the emergency room again a week ago Sunday, about 10, 11 days ago now, with 215 over 110 blood pressure. It leveled off and they let me go, but thought I was going to die again. So that's always fun. So here's what happened. A lot of you have asked me, in light of my health issues, have I changed my mind about when I'm taking Social Security? And as many as you already know, I retired at 65. I'm 68. I'll be 69 next month. Um, been planning to wait to 70 to take my benefits. My wife, who's 12 years younger, would start at 62. And then when I die, 12 years older than her and being a male, I'd likely die well before she does. And then she would switch over to my higher age 70 benefit. Um, so now, the break even point I thought I could easily make, because I was in what I thought was good health. So now the question a lot of you are asking, well, now that you're not so good health, have you changed your mind? And yes, it occurred to me that I will likely not reach break even age. It's just the fact. I can look at that, objectively and say that's the likelihood now. But I decided to wait till 70 anyway, just to get the higher benefit for my wife. And it's just, in essence, one more year, not a big deal. It's the additional 1 year adds well over $300 a month more to my benefit. And, when my wife gets that, it would be a boon to her. So that was my plan. And then my wife asked me something very interesting the other day. And she said, what if you die before 70, meaning this year? Yeah, thank you, dear. Um, look at it how you want, looking out for herself, just doing the math, the finance, whatever it was. And that had never occurred to me. And it should have, because I've come to what I thought was so close to dying, that dying in this next year, this calendar year before I'm 70 next February, it's a possibility. So I had never really checked into this before. So the question became, if I never start collecting benefits, what does my wife get when she starts collecting? What's my higher benefit does she get? When do they decide that benefit began? And because it didn't begin, as it turns out, as I've done some research into this now, they use my full retirement age, my age 67 or 66 and 10 months, whatever it was, benefit. So, it reverts back to, I think it was about $3,500. And, yes, that's a lot of money. I get that. But we're not focusing on the dollar amount. We're focusing on the differences. My benefit right now is about 4,200. So it's $600 to $700 a month more. So if I die this year and she waits to age 67 to collect, she would get that 35, 3,600 adjusted for COLAs, instead of my age 70 benefit or my age 69 benefit whenever I started, age 69 if I, die this year, or age 70 when I die next year before I collect benefit. The bottom line is it could cost her $600, $700 a month for the rest of her life collecting benefits. Now, if she starts at 62, they reduce that PIA, that primary insurance amount that I had, that $3,600, just as if I started collecting at 62 rather than 67, it would get 30% less. So the risk of me dying this year, as far as how it affects my Social Security, is extremely substantial. So, if I knew I was going to make it to the end of the year in 70, I wait till 70. Um, but I actually have applied for benefits now. So I'm starting my benefits as of now. It's going to take me 3 months to get them, obviously. I don't know if they base it upon when I applied or when I actually start getting checks. But it'll be $4,300 somewhere in that range, as opposed to $4,600 if I had waited till 70. But this is absolutely just for the purpose of getting my wife that higher benefit. So I have to not die for 3 months until I start collecting, I guess. I'm not sure what the exact ruling is. If I had already applied, does that count? I don't know. So the risk of not starting benefits this year was huge compared to what I risk losing by not waiting until next February at age 70, um, for her. And for me, the risk is tiny. My break even point between age 69 and age 70 is about age 82. Again, would I make it to 82? Based upon the actuarial charts for my, male cohorts my age, yes, I would. But because my health is questionable now, I, I no longer see that as being feasible. If I do live that long, fine, great, obviously, as we all say. Um, but at this point, I've changed my mind. Um, I'm still going to preach age 70 for most people. And again, it's going to depend on circumstances. Some are better off at 62. I understand that. Everyone has their own decision to make based upon their particular circumstances, their spouse, their earnings, the difference in earnings between the two, health, what other savings you have, whatever investments you have. That all comes into play. But my general thought was, unless you're of poor health, you should probably wait till 70 if you can. So that's what I've decided to do now. I've applied for my benefits. I will be getting them soon, hopefully. It was surprisingly quick and easy to apply online. Just some basic, simple questions that we all know off the top of our heads. I had to put my wife's information in there because obviously, they'll need that for when she wants to collect. Um, so let me know your questions. I'm hoping to get healthier. I'm hoping these drug changes will make a difference. I'm hoping I can get off these drugs as we go along, but that time will tell on that. I've started cardiac rehab with my evaluation, and go in earnest starting Friday, 3 times a week. I'll be working out more than that. Obviously, I did a nice workout this morning. I still get a little tired, but maybe life gets back to normal. It's not there yet, but we're hoping. So let me know your questions about either Social Security or my health. Glad to answer anything. I appreciate your concern continuing, and that's it. So talk to you next time.